Where there are fathers, there are no gang members. Now available in paperback and e-readers. Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door takes on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed, all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess featuring a bonus pin-up and the other 2 books in the Cyber Goddess saga at online bookstores everywhere today. There was a mass shooting here in New York City in Corona, Queens. And in this mass shooting, gang members wound up shooting and wounding 10 innocent people in a quest to go after members of a rival gang. Now, the police see this as an isolated incident in New York's ongoing and escalating rise in violent crime. But when I take a critical examination of this mass shooting that took place over the weekend in Corona, Queens, it fits right in line with the pattern and profile I talk about regarding beta males in my book, The Man Crisis. And it's clear to me that these beta males who participated in this mass shooting fit the chapter I talked about regarding gangs and the man crisis. And when it comes down to your beta males, oftentimes because there are no fathers in the home and no men in the community, what happens to these boys is they do not have men there to model manhood for them, nor do they have men there to establish order in the community and to establish structure for the boys to follow, and men there to teach these males discipline. And because there are no men in the community to establish order and establish structure and teach discipline, many of these males have no real sense of purpose. And because they have no sense of purpose, what happens to these males most times is they wind up wandering aimlessly because the mother enables them and coddles them. And because these boys do not get the essential male life skills, what they do is they form up into these gangs, and these gangs go out here and instead of trying to build up the community and improve the quality of life and protect the community, what these gangs do is go out here and terrorize the community and tear down the community. And the reason why these boys go out here and terrorize and tear down the community is because they feel no connection to the community, because they did not have a father or a group of men in the community to teach them that they are a part of the community and that they have a role in going out here and taking care of that community. Because these boys are not taught that they have an investment in the community, they go out here looking to tear down the neighborhoods they're in. Now, these beta males think that they are going out here and establishing turf for themselves, but ironically, in their quest to fight for their so-called turf, they wind up driving people out of the community, such as business owners and those from good families. And as these gangs form and take more territory in the community, what happens is that the quality of life starts to go down in the community as these gang members go out here and have these turf wars and fight over territory that really is not theirs. Now, the main reason why your beta male is fighting over so-called turf is because he, again, has no real investment in the community and does not understand the process of building or maintaining a community. Now, your so-called turf is nothing that any of these beta males own. These are imaginary lines that are established by the beta male, and they are enforced by beta males through their violence until they run into forces that have more power and authority. Now, your beta males talk about how they own all this turf, but in the real world, they don't own anything. It's only in their rose-colored reality do they believe that they own turf, because many of these beta males, while they may walk up and down the block, they do not own any deeds to any property, and they do not own any businesses in the community. So these males, they're running around in their rose-colored reality, And oftentimes that rose-colored reality that these beta male gang members are running around in is oftentimes enabled by the single mothers in the community. Now, your single mothers in the community, they will enable these beta males' delusions, and they enable those beta males' delusions because they are getting an economic benefit from them from the illegal activity. So the beta males, they will go out here talking about they're in gangs and terrorizing the community, and the females will allow this to go on because this is a supplemental source of income for them. One, because many of these women primary source of income is the welfare state, and they need to have the child around to be able to continue to get the government benefits like welfare and Section 8 and WIC and food stamps and all the other government programs. So they will let this male go on being in this dysfunctional state because they are receiving economic benefits from the government, and they are also receiving economic benefits from the criminal activity. So the core foundation to most of your gangs is gynocentric, but many in government won't talk about the gynocentric foundation of the gangs because they don't want to alienate the large female population. Because to hold the female accountable for the gangs would be something considered to be really what some would call sexist, but it is the truth because the core foundation of most of the criminal activity, like the gangs and the drugs, primarily comes from the single mother who has the lease on the apartment and is the head of the household for the government benefits. And oftentimes the gang members, they all come from the single mother because the single mother does not teach the boy anything at all. In some cases, she has deep contempt for the boy due to the boy's father, and she will let the boy go out here participating in dysfunctional activity because she is receiving economic benefits. And if the boy winds up going to prison and he winds up being stuck in jail for the rest of his life, then in some subconscious way, some of these women believe they are getting even with the child's father, and they don't really care if the boy goes out like this. But many of these boys who go out here and are a part of gangs, they think they are doing this because they are getting some sort of benefit. Some of them are doing it out of fear because they fear that if they don't join the gang, the gang will come after them. But gangs are a major part of the man crisis because they show us what happens when there are no men in the community to go out here and lead a community, because without the leadership of the man in the leadership role in the community winds up with a lot of lost directionless males, and those lost directionless males wind up, instead of going out here to build businesses and be entrepreneurs, wind up becoming gang members who terrorize their community, tear their community down, and then leave their community wide open for foreigners to come in and take the economic base. Because in every community where there are gang members in large numbers, what happens is that foreigners like Arab grocery store owners, white supermarket owners, Korean hair and nail salons, many of these businesses come into these communities and they thrive. And as those businesses thrive, they take economic dollars out of a community, making it poorer with every passing day. And that is why gangs are an extremely dangerous group to allow to stay in a community, because when you have gangs in a community, it drives away local business owners and it drives away local investment, and that keeps people from being able to build an economic base and a tax base. And without those resources there, you cannot really have a thriving community. But your gang members, these beta males, they are just guys who are caught up in their feelings because they have no sense of purpose, they have no sense of direction, and because they have no sense of direction, they take a community and they turn it into chaos. And once they turn it into chaos, the neighborhood winds up becoming a place filled with poverty and crime. And while these guys think that they are ruling their turf, what happens is that others wind up ruling over them, and eventually what happens is these same communities run through by gangs eventually wind up being gentrified by the wealthy, and once the wealthy gentrify the neighborhood, the gang members wind up homeless, and they wind up in a deeper crisis because at the core of the crisis is the fact that they had no man in their lives, and if they had a man in their lives to teach them male life skills, male survival skills, and teach them the importance of protecting a community by going out here and learning skills and learning how to build businesses and infrastructure, then you would have a group of men who would be able to go out here and protect a community instead of having individuals that tear it down. The way we deal with the whole issue of gangs is to take down the gynocentric fiefdom of the welfare state and replace it with a patriarchal order where boys will learn some purpose, boys will get some direction, and they will get some structure and some discipline from men, because the only way you can deal with a gang is to teach a boy how to be a man, because when you teach a boy how to be a man, then he learns how to stand up as an individual on his own and not be a member of a gang who is used as a pawn by others and then exploited by the wealthy who use him as the face of crime so they can buy up property real cheap, gentrify a neighborhood, and then drive people out of their community and destroy it. This is something many of your gang members really don't see in the big picture because they're caught up in their feelings about the so-called turf they're fighting for, but many of these men have no wealth of knowledge and they don't know how to build wealth because there was no man in their life to teach them the skills and survival skills a man needs in order to make it in the world. Your gang members are, again, a gynocentric group that is primarily run by females, and all it takes is for one of these guys to cross a female and she will put him out of her house and he will go from a gang member to a homeless guy. And that has happened quite a bit to your Pookies and your Ray Rays. And many of these men, they oftentimes have a lot of bluster with their guns and their power for another black man, but they don't have that for a white man or one of these females out here. And again, these guys, they want to have power, but they don't see how powerless they are, because in a lot of cases, these guys, they don't really understand what it means to be a man, because there was no man to teach them manhood or masculinity. And because there's no man to teach them manhood and masculinity, they go out here and have these turf wars over property they don't own, trying to live in this rose-colored reality, when in reality these guys are at the bottom of the world, and they don't understand that each effort that they make to tear down the community drives them deeper and deeper to the bottom, until eventually they wind up getting arrested and they wind up becoming victims of Bubba and Tiny, who usually trade them for Little Debbie snack cakes or Fritos chips or ramen noodles, and by that time your gang member in crisis just winds up becoming lost. But when I look at this whole mass shooting, again, most people are seeing it as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical examination of it, this is showing us how gangs and the man crisis are doing damage to the quality of life here in New York City. Now, if you want to learn more about how beta males destroy communities, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis on Smashwords, the iBook store, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Now available on Kindle, E-Steam No Good Deed. The Devil's Divas scare some stick-up kids straight in this action-packed E-Steam series comic. Get E-Steam No Good Deed on Kindle for 99 cents today.